questions that's in Zoom land, feel free to throw it in the chat box or to just raise your Zoom hand. If you're watching on Facebook Live, I think I can see the comments, so you can throw it in the comments section. Otherwise, we're doing a live Q&A or a Q&A tomorrow on the same Zoom link at 11 o'clock for all the forms that are covered today. But this form that we're covering right now is the multiple listing service addendum. This is going to be an addendum that's going to partner with your residential listing agreement. So we had some questions yesterday on the changes to the listing agreement. It moved over to a grid. I'll probably be recovering that as well if I have time today. But they moved it over to a grid. There's a couple of questions that came up. One is that it only asks for the commission to the listing agent. And there's no place on the residential listing agreement to put if you've had a conversation with the seller about offering a commission to a buyer's agent, that you have the ability to do that. The other question that we had pop up on their listing agreement was that there's no exclusion from the MLS on that listing form. But this addendum, I don't know why they didn't just make it part of the listing agreement, but we have this multiple listing service addendum that's going to get partnered with the listing agreement. It answers those questions. So it's a brand new form. Following terms and conditions are hereby incorporated in and made part of the residential listing agreement. You could check other in case there was some other agreement in place. You're going to put the date on there. Again, the full property address. Seller's names go on the top line and the broker goes on the second line. So for us, that would be Realty One Group Fox. Okay, goes on that line, not your name. Multiple listing service. What is an MLS, right? This used to be part of our listing agreement. It talked about what the MLS was. Now it's on a separate addendum, probably to grab people's attention and make sure they're paying attention. The MLS database is a database of properties for sale that is available and disseminated to and accessible by all other real estate agents who are participants or subscribers to the MLS. It's set forth in paragraph 3, participants and subscribers conducting public marketing of a property listing must submit the property to the MLS. Property information submitted to the MLS describes the price, terms, and conditions under which the seller's property is offered for sale. Accepting offers of compensation, right? Because we're taking that out of the MLS come August. Our offers of compensation aren't going to be in there anymore. It is likely that a significant number of real estate practitioners in any given area are participants or subscribers to the MLS. The MLS may also be a part of a reciprocal or data sharing agreement in which other multiple listing services belong, right? Similar to Barry's, where we data share with MetroList, Bay Area, Contra Costa, right? All of those. So we have those reciprocal agreements. Let's see, data sharing agreements with the MLS also have access to the information submitted to that MLS. The MLS may further transmit listing information to internet sites that post property listings online, right? So our MLS posts it out to places like you've got Zillow and all of those other fun places, right? Realtor.com and all those places, okay? Benefits of using the MLS, the impact of opting out of the MLS, exposure to buyers through the MLS, listing property with the MLS exposes the seller's property to all real estate agents and brokers and their potential buyer clients who are participants or subscribers to the MLS or reciprocating MLS. The MLS may further transmit the MLS database to internet sites that post property listings online. Again, those Zillow's, Realtors, Homes.com, those places. Impact of opting out of the MLS. If the seller elects to exclude the property from the MLS, seller understands and acknowledges that, number one, seller is authorizing limited exposure of the property and no marketing or advertising of the property to the public will occur. 2, real estate agents and brokers from other real estate offices and their buyer clients who have access to that MLS may not be aware that the seller's property is offered for sale. And 3, information about the seller's property will not be transmitted from the MLS to various real estate internet sites that are used by the public to search for properties and listings. And 4, real estate agents, brokers to various real estate internet sites that are used by the public to search for real estate agents, brokers, and members of the public may be unaware of the terms and conditions under which the seller is marketing the property. 2C is reduction in exposure. Any reduction in exposure of the property may lower the number of offers and negatively impact that sales price. D is not listing the property in a local MLS. If the property is listed in an MLS, which does not cover the geographic area where the property is located, then real estate agents and brokers working that territory and buyers they represent looking for property in the neighborhood may not be aware the property is for sale, right? So those are just benefits of using the MLS and the impact of opting out. These are the same things that were in the previous listing agreement. There was a special little box that talked about this. 3 is the public marketing of property. This was also part of our residential listing agreement. Previously, this is where we kind of opted out. Clear cooperation policy, unless 3F is checked, the MLS rules require that residential property, real property with 1 to 4 units and vacant lot listings be submitted to the MLS within 1 business day of any public marketing. Now, 3F, we're just going to jump down there real quick. That's the clear cooperation policy does not apply. If you are listing your property in the Barry's main service area, those are counties of Marin, Sonoma, Napa, Solano, Mendocino. Okay, that's the Barry's main service area. Then you can check the box for 3F that the clear cooperation policy does not apply. That's what allows us to market our coming soon listings in the Barry's service area. If you are in Metro List, you're listing the property in Yolo County, in Winters, in Sacramento, in Placerville, in the Bay Area, they do not allow coming soon listings because of the clear cooperation policy that was set forth by the National Association of Realtors, the NAR, right? So we have to, any public marketing of the property, which it's going to tell us here in a minute what that is, it has to be in the MLS and available for showings within 24 hours. Okay, but in the Barry service area, it doesn't. So public marketing 3, we would skip down and check the box for F, but let's go through all of it for those other counties. Public marketing within clear cooperation. Public marketing includes, but is not limited to, flyers displayed in windows, yard signs, digital marketing on public-facing websites, that also be social media, brokerage website displays, digital communication, marketing, and email blasts, multi-brokerage listing sharing networks, marketing to closed or private listing clubs or groups, and applications available to the general public. Public marketing does not include an office exclusive listing where there is direct promotion of the listing between brokers and licensees affiliated with the listing brokerage, and one-to-one promotion between these licensees and their clients. So if you're listed in another MLS system or primary area of an MLS system, we can announce it at the team meetings. We can market it to our clients. Our other agents in our office can market it. That's totally fine. We just can't market it to the public. C, coming soon status impact on marketing days on market. Seller is advised to discuss with broker the meaning of coming soon as a term applies to the MLS in which the property will be listed, and how any coming soon status will impact when and how a listing will be viewable to the public via the MLS. Seller is further advised to discuss with broker how any days on market calculations or similarly utilized tracking fields work in the MLS in which the property will be listed. Seller does authorize the broker to market the property per the coming soon status in the broker's MLS, if any. So that's the default here. If we check this box on C2, then its seller does not authorize the broker to market it as a coming soon. D, seller instructs the broker to market the property to the public at the beginning of the listing period. So the default is, hey, we're marketing it to the public within 24 hours of that signed listing agreement or whatever date you put on that listing agreement. Okay. 2 is, and keep in mind these are or, so it's either 1 or 2 or 3, not a combination. Seller instructs broker to begin marketing the property to the public on blank date. Okay, so if we're getting that listing agreement signed today, but we're not going to actually go on the market until August 1st, we would put August 1st on this line. If you don't know what date you're going to actually go on the market, keep in mind we can take a stab at it. So we're working toward the date. That's what I like to do is, hey, how does this sound? Put a date on here. We're working towards it. With a modification of terms of the listing agreement, we can come back and change this date at any time. Okay, so that was D2. D3 is seller instructs the broker not market the property to the public. MLS may require car form SELM or SELM or local equivalent form. Seller understands that no public marketing will occur, and the scope of marketing that will occur will consist only of direct one-on-one promotion between brokers and licensees affiliated with the listing brokerage and the respective clients. Okay, this was our third option, right? It's either it's going on the market immediately, we have a specific date we're aiming for, or hey, don't market it at all. Okay, if we don't even have an idea when that listing is going to go on the market, we can always check D3. Again, with that modification of listing agreement, we can come back and change it that we're going to begin marketing to the public on such date. So those are kind of your options there for a delayed entry into the MLS. Seller understands and agrees that should any public marketing of the property occur, the property listing will be submitted to the MLS within 1 business day. Anybody have any questions so far? Again, this isn't new information, same information that's always been in our listing agreement. They've just separated it out to a separate addendum. All right. F is the clear cooperation policy does not apply. Again, if we're in the Berry service area, those 5 counties,
Hey,
we can
Amy,
check. Yeah.
just real quick, when is this form going live? Because I'm on CAR and I don't see it.
The 24th. So it'll go live. It
Okay,
should go
got
live
you.
tomorrow. Yep. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And Claudia, to answer your question about can you get copies of these? Absolutely. Just log into CAR. There was a red line at the top announcing new forms coming out on July 24th. If you click on that, it'll take you into the library where you can access the drafts of these forms. All right. Clear cooperation policy does not apply. Berry's 5 counties. We can check this box here. The MLSs utilized by broker do not have a clear cooperation policy that applies to the property. Paragraphs 3A through E do not apply to this listing. Broker shall disclose to seller and obtain seller's consent for any instruction to not market the property to the MLS or to the public. Now, keep in mind that even though we don't have a clear cooperation policy, we can market it as coming soon. It does not have to be in the MLS right away in the Berry service area. Berry still requires that SELM form, and they still require you to input it into their system when you log into the main Berry's website. Scroll down to the important links or helpful links. The exclusion process will be there. So I still, even if I mark F, I'm still going to come up here and probably fill in when we're marketing to the public, just so we have a clear guidelines as to when that's happening, so that it's somewhere in writing. Okay. MLS data on the internet. MLS rules allow MLS data to be made available by the MLS to additional internet sites unless broker gives the MLS instructions to the contrary. Specific information that can be excluded to the internet as permitted by or in accordance with the MLS are as follows, right? So this is that, hey, I don't want the address on the internet type thing. Property or property address. This used to be in our listing agreement. Now it's on the addendum. Seller can instruct the broker to have the MLS not display property or property address on the internet. We're going to use the CAR form SELI for that. Seller understands that either of these opt-outs would mean consumers searching for listings on the internet may not see the property or the property's address in response to their search. Keep in mind too that if we don't put the address as a full pass-through on the internet, which is where this comes into play. You go onto, you're entering into your listing and it says, do you want the address to pass through to the internet? And then you say yes, and it goes full or partial. And full is the full address. If we don't mark those 2 boxes, just so your sellers know, it doesn't populate on the map searches. And most people looking for properties anymore, when they start utilizing sites like Zillow's or Realtors, are looking on the map search. So if we don't have the address pass through, it does not show up on that map search. So just a heads up on that. Feature opt-outs. Seller can instruct broker to advise the MLS that seller does not want visitors to the MLS, participants, or subscriber websites or electronic displays that display the property listing to have the features below. And again, this is that CAR form SELI. Seller understands that these opt-outs may only apply to websites or electronic displays of MLS participants and subscribers who are real estate broker and agent members of the MLS. That other internet sites may or may not have the features set forth herein, and that neither broker nor the MLS may have the ability to control or block such features or on other internet sites. Comments and reviews, the ability to write comments or reviews about the property on those sites, the ability to link another site containing such comments or reviews if the link is in immediate conjunction with the property display, and the automated estimate of value, the ability to create an automated estimate of value or link to another site containing such estimate of value if the link is in immediate conjunction with the property display. C is the seller election. The seller authorizes the MLS to make all the listing information available to internet sites, or we check the box for number 2, seller elects to opt out of certain internet features as provided by CAR form SELI or the local equivalent form, right? So those are how we opt out, and then we're going to pull in the SELI form to either opt out with address, comments and reviews, or the AVM. Okay. All right. Continuing on, seller concessions, concession explanations. Concessions are monetary payments that the seller agrees to contribute towards a buyer. This section is new, by the way. Buyer's expense and other costs a buyer is responsible for in the transaction. Concessions may include, but are not limited to, costs of escrow or title, lender fees, repairs, inspections, and buyer broker compensation. Concessions identified in an MLS listing are not promises to pay, but instead indicate to a buyer that the seller will consider offers asking for concessions. Concessions specified in the MLS are not intended to be binding on a seller unless included in the accepted purchase agreement. So keep in mind, remember that anything in the MLS or on flyers or at the open house or something that's said verbally, somebody writes an offer, none of those things transpire unless it's in writing in that offer. So it's just letting the seller know that. Concessions specified in the MLS must be allowed to be used for any permissible buyer expense or cost and must not specify the concessions are to be used for broker compensation. However, a term in the buyer's offer may specify that the seller agrees to pay all or a portion of the compensation that the buyer owes its broker. Okay, that's with that SPBB form. Okay. So those are the concession explanations. Seller authorization. Seller does not authorize broker to put in MLS that the seller is willing to consider offers asking for concessions. Okay, this is going to be one of the options that we're going to have in the MLS now is to mark yes or no on this. Or seller authorizes broker to put into the MLS that the seller is willing to consider offers asking for concessions if allowed under the MLS rules. Even if permitted by the MLS, no amount of the possible concession will be stated in the MLS, either as a percent of the purchase price or a flat fee, unless seller notifies broker in writing of the amount. And you're like, Amy, how would they do that? Okay. So there's a couple ways to do that. The best way would do a modification of terms to this, or I think that now there's an addendum that you can do to the listing agreement. You could do it as that. You could write it in under other terms on your listing agreement, right? Put it in there if there's an amount that they're willing to, if they're saying, hey, we're willing to offer X% or Y% or X number of dollars. We just want to make sure we have that in writing from the seller somewhere with their signature on it. Okay. Couple places to put this. I'm surprised they didn't have like other terms or something in here, but you can put it on your other terms line on your listing agreement, or again, do a modification of terms to list that out. Okay. Any questions about those two or that section there, section 5? Because that's our new section. All right, fabulous. 6 is photographs. This again was listed in the ML or in our listing agreement previously. Visitors entering or touring the property may take photographs, and broker does not have the ability to control or block taking and use of images. Seller can instruct broker to publish information in the MLS. It is limited to those persons preparing appraisal or inspection reports. Seller acknowledges that unauthorized persons may take images who do not have access to or have not read any limiting instructions in the MLS, or who take images regardless of any limiting instructions in the MLS, right? Like ultimately it's saying, hey, we can put it in there, but we have no control. Seller instruction, visitors are not restricted from taking photos of the property is the default. Or we could check box B2 there at the bottom. Seller instructs broker to publish in the MLS that taking images is limited to those persons preparing appraisals or inspection reports. Okay. The foregoing terms and conditions are hereby agreed to, and the undersigned acknowledge receipt of a copy of this multiple listing service addendum. It gets signed by the seller. It gets signed by the listing brokerage. There on that top line is where you'd put Realty One Group Fox, and then down here is where your name and signature would go. This again should get partnered with every single listing agreement starting tomorrow. Okay, and remember, come August, if we have an old listing agreement in place, we need to use the listing agreement addendum that we talked about yesterday. I may again highlight that today, but any questions on this MLS addendum, multiple listing service addendum, car form MLSA? Oh, hold on. I've got two messages. They're not scrolling up. Oh, Daniel, I'm sorry my computer stopped sharing. It's not, it has something to do with the Zillow connection. I apologize that it keeps popping in and out. I'm not even sure how to go about fixing that, but we'll try to get it more stable before the next live event. And see what we can do. And maybe if I'll try just sharing it on my computer screen next time instead of the form itself, because that could be the disconnect that's happening. So I apologize for that. Again, if you want to find copies of these forms, go to card.org, log in. There should be a red line at the top that identifies that they've got new forms coming out tomorrow. If you click on that, it'll take you to some pages where you can access and download these forms so you can get copies of them in advance. That's it for right now. We'll be back at 11 o'clock covering our next form. And no, I don't know what that next form is going to be, but it'll have to do still with the listing side. I think we've got a couple more listing documents to cover. Oh, here, we're actually going to cover the let's see, the listing. We covered the RLA yesterday. We're going to cover the modification of terms to the listing agreement, the changes on that form at 11 o'clock. We'll see you there. Thanks for joining me today. Have a fabulous day.